throughout the short lifespan of my channel, I really haven't touched any security breach theories with a 10-foot pole, for pretty obvious reasons, since this game has proven to be pretty mind-numbing even for the smartest of people out there. But while I was working on my next video, which is a very ambitious sort of response / my own take on MatPat's ultimate FNAF timeline theory, I randomly got a DM from the YouTuber Xantor making some really bold claims about a security breach discovery he made. And after he presented the evidence, my response could only be described as a holy shit. So, I decided to make a quick video on this before my game theory one. Now, keep in mind, a quick disclaimer, I personally hate this theory, and I'll happily add it on to the I'll celebrate with a 24-hour livestream if it's wrong list of mine that I have going. But there is just enough evidence here for me to drop everything and present it now. But before we really get started with the meat of this video, I feel like I need to just drop it right here. Michael might still be alive in security breach. I know, most of you clicked off right there, but trust me, I would have done the same thing if I were you, so just hear me out for a bit. For me, it all starts off with an odd piece of FNAF AR source code, where you see a, quote, alert, sent to someone suspiciously named none other than M. Afton at the email address mafton@bigbearmails.net, which is the new Fazbear Entertainment's email extension. Strange, right? And while Entorm was playing around in security breach and debug mode, he found these posted notes in many of the security offices in the Pizzaplex, many of which have the message of meeting with Smith 5 p.m. written on them, obviously to serve as reminders for the security guards. And in the huge pipe that leads to Mazer size, we see a grocery list on the wall that simply reads, Butters, 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 an obvious Easter egg about sister location. And this all leads us back to one of Security Breach's biggest mysteries, the hidden room deep in the Pizzaplex, which just so happens to be specifically the exact same room that Michael unwinds and watches TV in sister location. We see the exact same couch, the exact same 70s era TV set, the same wall decorations, and just what do we see on top of the TV there? None other than Michael's basket of exotic butters, the one that he earned after his saga in the sister location. And it only gets better from there. Now, before I present more of the evidence, I'm gonna present my incomplete, but still working theory of exactly what's going on here. I think that Michael is back to try and finish off William, much like in the previous games. Just like how the Vengeful Spirit seems to be back for unfinished business, Michael just might be too. He probably got a job at the company for the sole reason that he was the person who he was during the original Fazbear Entertainment run. But as time went on, he managed to get higher and higher into the company, even being able to move much of his old stuff into his own private room in the Pizzaplex. But when he found out the real purpose of the company, he decided to try and work behind the scenes in order to put a stop to it by doing things like possibly freeing Gregory from the glitch trap influence that we see him under in the story GGY, among other things that FNAF intentionally set him up to do to pad out 5 more games. Provide rich storytelling opportunities for the future of the franchise. And getting back to the sister location room, just what do we see written in the code on the wall? This all seems to be a message encouraging Gregory to do what he does in the Pizzaplex. Quote, break and mend, I built the breath. Probably referring to someone who built and programmed the Glamrocks. Quote, they hunt now, drawn to life, referring to the new murderous tendency of the Glamrocks. And last but certainly not least, quote, dodge, duck, flash, shoot, crawl, run, crush the vile band, which is all directly referring to Gregory's actions throughout Security Breach. Could Michael be in command of the now glitch trap-free Gregory, using him to do his own bidding to take down the Pizzaplex, just as Glitch Trap used him to do the opposite? So no, forgive me if I went all MatPat there and wrote a lore-accurate fanfiction that would even make him blush. But I really think that this could be the direction the story is trying to take us now. So, going back to an earlier point, if this whole theory is true, Michael has to be high enough in the company to have his own room in the Pizzaplex, one based off his home above the sister location. He can't just be a low-level employee, because in the Pizzaplex story The Bobby Dots, we see just how crazy difficult it is for the protagonist Abe to even squat out by the garbage in the Pizzaplex without getting caught in that story. And the Pizzaplex books have kind of been hitting us over the head with evidence in the recent books that they are in the same universe as Security Breach now, so I think that's pretty relevant. But alright, you might be asking, just where does the Michael possesses Glamrock Freddy theory end up then with this? Well, fortunately or unfortunately, I think the Pizzaplex books kinda put that one to rest. Because, at least so far, the Pizzaplex books hammer in the fact that Fazbear Entertainment can make sentient animatronics, we see that not only with the Bobby Dots themselves, but also in the storyteller, we get a really straightforward confirmation that the Glamrocks are just advanced AI. All their personalities, insecurities, and mood swings? Yep. The storyteller confirms that those were just programmed in on purpose. Well, how about Glamrock Freddy's compassion to Gregory? Well, the story GGY confirms that, to the dismay of a million fatherless Twitter kids, that was because Gregory had actually hacked into and altered Glamrock Freddy's programming so that he would do Gregory's bidding. Now, whether or not the supernatural elements like Remnant or Agony have anything to do with all of this is unknown at the moment, but the fact that Fazbear Entertainment has the ability to program sapient AI with human emotions and feelings is more than confirmed at this point. And not only that, but the secret cipher that we see on the wall in the sister location room also strongly implies that the Glamrocks are not possessed. Quote, they hunt not real, but still keen. And most importantly of all, the command to Gregory, quote, cry not, try not, your life will save those with soul. And considering that the earlier lines ask Gregory to destroy the Glamrocks, who are said to be drawn to hunt life, I think this is pretty hard evidence to support the idea that the Glamrocks are not possessed after all. But that of course leads to the elephant in the room, FNAF 6, where it is very strongly implied that Michael dies in the FNAF 6 fire with the rest of the gang. But Xantorm pointed out a tiny little detail about the final cutscene that just made me do what can only be described as a slow facepalm with my desk. In the end of FNAF 6, we are presented with the last of Henry's employee tapes, thanking us, the security guard, for working at the establishment, and that our duties are now complete.
Thank you for your participation. There is no need for you to return to work next week, as Fazbear Entertainment is no longer a corporate entity. Please accept this certificate of completion. Goodbye for now.
And, to my dismay, Xantorm pointed out one crucial little detail. If the intro videos to the game are obviously played for Michael when he first signed up for the company, then just who are they playing for at the end of the game? Now obviously, this was originally intended as a minor, non-canon plot hole presented as a joke for the player and a rather clever fourth wall break. But we all know what FNAF loves to do with those. So, did this line really get mid-rash to mean that since technically Henry doesn't know if Michael will take the way out or not, Michael changed his mind and did decide to leave? I mean, that would be awful. And this leads us all to both simultaneously the biggest supporting and the biggest potential refuting piece of evidence for this theory, FNAF's new narrative style. Because I mean, this all is only as narratively unsatisfying as Burn Trap, so are all the problems with this theory really problems? Or are they just bad writing? I mean, if this is true, then Michael obviously works at the company. And if the, quote, meeting with Smith cards have anything to do with Michael, then why would he be going under the name Fritz Smith again in the franchise? Was Michael thrown out earlier and came back under the same false alias he used like one time 40 years ago? Dang, that would be uncreative and extremely narratively redundant, unlike everything else we see in this game. But to be perfectly fair, it would be a pretty solid way of telling us that it is the Michael that we know from the previous games, by simply having him mirror the same behavior we've seen, even if the approach is incredibly lazy and half-baked. Yep, it's vague, it's stupid, but it has about as much evidence as anything else we know from Security Breach, and it really seems to fit with the direction the game seems to be going in. Because I think the real question is, why does Security Breach throw all these hints to previous characters in the game series? Why is Michael Afton seemingly the name of a FNAF AR employee? Why is Vanessa's last name implied to be Afton? Why does Gregory heavily resemble the crying child, down to the hair, the build, the striped shirt, and even the bandage on the knee? Heck, even the Vanny ending, rather famously, has Gregory taking a bite out of a Fredbear or Freddy head popsicle, in a not-so-subtle inversion to the fate of the crying child. And it just takes an extreme amount of lore stretching to have any of this make sense. It's not like how the name Jeremy appears like 6 times in completely unrelated scenarios. These are all references in the same period, around the same events, in the same new game canon. That's why we get things like Gregbot and the multiple Elizabeth theories. And unfortunately, as crazy as these theories are, Security Breach and Tales from the Pizza Plex really manages to outdo us at every turn. I mean, is a robot Gregory or a dozen Elizabeth clones really such a stretch when there are orbs that can literally make dreams a reality sold in the ticket booths of the Pizzaplex? Or little speaker discs that can make robots eat, breathe, bleed, and be completely indiscernible as normal humans with just some 80s tech and sounds undoubtedly exist now? The thing is, FNAF nowadays isn't about what makes sense, but rather, it's just become a plug-and-play game of what insane details we can plug and play into the basic premise that we already know. Narrative coherence plays a surprisingly small part now. Now, we just gotta see whatever little bits of evidence are in the games and books and figure out what the game is trying to tell us with them. So basically, doing theories about security breach mostly consists of presenting the most insane nonsense you could ever think of in a theory, then explaining why it doesn't make any sense, and then having FNAF confirm it anyways 5 or 6 months later. So let's see if that prophecy is fulfilled for this video. Anyways, Xantorp made his own excellent video talking about his take of the theory, and he dives a little more into just exactly how he found all the evidence that he did for this theory, so go check it out if you can. Anyways, this is ShyCrow, signing off.
Hey Faz fans, it's me, Xantorp. So recently I gathered significant pieces of evidence to prove that Michael ISN'T survived Five Nights at Freddy's Pizzeria Simulator. It wasn't easy trying to connect all of these together. To sum everything up, Michael survived a fire, and years later was hired as a Fazbear Entertainment employee during special delivery. In the Pizzaplex, Michael finds his old room from sister location. He finds the Fazcam in Gator Golf, leaving footprints in the process. He hides in the room and forms an alliance with Gregory to destroy the Pizzaplex. The GGY situation happens. Michael and Gregory are split apart. Mike schedules a meeting at 5 p.m. to warn employees about GGY and Vanny. Then security breach happens. Gregory